Welcome to Russ Reels Live this afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. You know what? So excited for our conversation about human connection and AI, and you are not going to want to miss it. Share this with your friends. Let everybody know. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Russ Reels Live this Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Hey, I don't know what time it is where you are, but I am so glad that you're here today. This is going to be a dynamic, exciting conversation and just one of my favorite topics. Not because I know a lot about it, because I have amazing friends that know a lot about it. I know almost enough to make myself dangerous these days. And I know some of the cool things and some of the pitfalls we could run into. In fact, last time we talked about that subject, some of the challenges along with some of the amazing things in AI. But today, we're going to talk about that human connection, that human touch part, and AI and all that's going with it, or whatever my guests bring up today. I've got so many amazing friends here today that I want to get the show rolling as quickly as possible. But I just want to remind you today that I am always available and always want to connect with you at russhedge.com. Please connect with me today. And you know what? Everything is worth the conversation. You can go up there, you can schedule time on any of my social platforms or just on my calendar. We can Zoom together. I would love for you to do that. Go to russhedge.com today. Also, it would be so incredibly awesome if you would subscribe on YouTube. I'm telling you, I love it. I love that how my YouTube page is growing, all the great things that are happening, and you just need to go to russreels.live today, russreels.live today to subscribe. That's as easy as it is. I mean, oh my goodness. You know the name of this show, you know how to get there, right? And again, you know my name, you know how to get to my website. So I try to keep it simple. I'm a simple-minded kind of guy. So let's just keep it simple, right? All right. So thankful for all of you. That's the reason we can be here today. And I also have with me today my co-host, Mr. D. Scott Smith, that I'm going to bring in first here right after I tell you one other thing, and that is that this show and my other shows are all listener supported. And so not only do we have amazing sponsors that you will see there, today we have Networking for Students by D. Scott Smith, Boulder Falls Inn, and Belize Fancies, but also you will find a link and there'll be ads with QR codes that show you how to support the live streams that we do, getting value out to people. I'm telling you, the value that are surrounding AI today is going to be amazing. You do not want to miss it. So please do me a huge, huge favor and share this out right now. Share it out, tell your friends, tag your friends right now. Everybody that's watching here right at the beginning, tag your friends. All the guests that are waiting in the waiting room, tag a friend. Let somebody know in the comments that we are rolling and ready to go. And the more we let people know, the more it'll catch fire. So excited for that. Okay, I'm going to get my co-host and good friend, Mr. D. Scott Smith, in the room, and we're going to get this party started. There he is.
Hey, hey, hey. I'm here
see
somewhere.
Your name. I see your name,
Where
but
is
I can't
that?
see your face, Scott.
You hear me, but don't see me.
Oh, we might have to send you out and bring you back again. Well, we're going to send him out and bring him back, even whether he wanted it or not, because I can't see him. So let's do it again. Nope, that didn't work. Still can't see Scott. Very strange. Okay, well, there we go. Well, we're going to see what we can do. I think Scott's going to go out and come back in. So, nothing like starting a show on AI with technological challenges. So, what I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I have an amazing opener that I want to tell you about that'll help everybody get just a little perspective on things that are possible. This is really super simple because I really don't know that much. That's the reason I bring all my expert friends here today. But right before we got on the air, our only female guest today, a super good friend of mine, Cami Huyse, is with us. I asked ChatGPT about Cami. And yes, Cami, you know what I asked ChatGPT? I asked ChatGPT, what are 5 great things about Cami Huyse? And within about 10 seconds, this is what it told me. Cami Huyse is a visionary authority in social media and PR strategy. Number 2, she's a champion of community building. Number 3, she has a proven track record and prestigious recognition. And number 4, she's a dynamic speaker, educator, and thought leader. Number 5, here we go. She's an early adopter of AI and ethical digital innovation. That is amazing. Cami, I'm going to bring you in because that's just too awesome, isn't it? I can't hear you though.
I've done my work. Well, you do know that AI hallucinates, right? Okay, just saying.
No, I tell you, and under each one of those points has amazing information about you, Cami. I don't have time to read it all, but it was great stuff. But I just thought the 5 points it brought up really describe you well. It's got good supporting information, and it took about 10 seconds to write that for me.
Right. And really, I want to just let everybody know that's part of what we have to do as communicators. People are going to be using AI for search. I mean, you just proved me right.
Yeah,
People are going to be using AI for search. So we need to be able to put our thoughts and our thought leadership out there so that the AI can also know who you are. So I think a lot of people are afraid of it. The truth is that it gives you more space to be able to be who you are and like to help other people, but also you're going to have to, if you're going to be invisible if you don't let it know who you are a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's really amazing. I mean, and of course, what I did just scratches the surface. We're going to see if we get Scott back in here. There's Scott, Mr. D.
Oh my
Scott
gosh!
Smith.
Hi, Scott.
Hi,
There it is.
live in person.
Three times in 1 week, Russ. I get to hang out with you.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, you know, and this is what I love. Scott's jumped in so much. He's got a digital D. Scott Smith now, and you can call him up on the phone and talk to him. And I did it, and it was interesting. I just want to tell everybody this is just my funny aside. The digital AI D. Scott Smith is way chattier than the real D. Scott Smith. But
yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, we're working on that side. I'll in a moment here, I'll pull the link up and send it out so people can play around with it. It's just like every tool that's out there, especially an AI tool. It needs to be trained, and we've loaded stuff in it. But right now, I'll say it's giving a lot of Google type answers. So we're putting more content into it, and AI in general, and if people have played around with the large language models like Gemini or ChatGPT or Perplexity out there, or any of the other number of large language models that are out there, they tend to be very obsequious, right? You put something in and they go, oh, that's a great idea. And it reminds me of, there was a program back in the early 2000s called Owl Morale, and it was old bot that sat on your desktop on Windows, and you could click it and it would like pretend like it was reading through a report and like, this is amazing. And, you know, it tell like, have you lost weight? You look fabulous. Anyway, that was Owl Morale. So in a lot of ways, AI reminds me of Owl Morale. Look them up sometime.
I love that. I love that a lot. And again, you know, just it tells you a lot of things. Even with what you did, Russ, looking somebody up, it gives you like the glowing recommendations. Now, if you had asked it, tell me some things about Cami that are her limitations. I wonder if it would what it would tell you.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are Cami's limitations?
We don't want to go there. We don't want to go there and find out how that's going to work. But you know what I'm going to do real quickly, because I already did this actually. Real quick, for everybody jumping on, the 5 best things that ChatGPT thinks about D. Scott Smith is Number one, he's a trusted strategic advisor and motivational listener. Number two, he's a seasoned business leader across the leadership roles. Number three, he's prolific author and practical business guide. He is number four, a skilled networker and community builder. Number five, here we go. He's engaging educator and speaker. So there you go, Scott. That's what ChatGPT thinks about you. And
I always wondered how they came up with the top 10 for Letterman. And
yeah, there you go. They just went to ChatGPT. Now, we are going to keep rolling, getting everybody in this room here. And you know what? Next in the room here today, who I was going to bring in, Brian has just disappeared again. So we're going to get Craig in the room. So here is, we're moving on to more serious stuff than ChatGPT. Craig Tucker, an amazing authority on AI and all that he's doing. How you doing, Craig?
Good, Russ. Glad to join you, and hello, everyone.
It is so great that you're here today. You know, I tell you, we're talking about the simplicities of research and all the things that you can do as a tool. We're going to get to the human connection part here, but you have put together something amazing. Just give us a short little snippet on what you're doing, Craig.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that, Russ. So, everybody, we do real-time emotion recognition at scale. So we provide we provide computer programs with the ability to understand what we're trying to tell them and the feelings that we're trying to communicate to one another. So we do that for conversational AI, for mental health applications, tens of thousands of users around the world. Try to help as much as we can.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love the fact that you're working with our next guest. I'm just going to bring him in now too. Daniel Hungerford. You guys have worked together on some amazing things. How are you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing great, Russ. Glad to be back with you. Hey, everybody.
Good to see you, bud.
Good to see you. So give everybody just a snippet of where you're taking AI, because I love it, having dealt with senior parents and all of that. I find it fascinating. Go ahead.
So we take the work that Craig does, that makes us see more mirrored emotions and be able to give feedback and validate, and we put the face to it. And so it makes it an immersive experience. We are out trying to solve a real problem that we have nowadays, which is social isolation, especially amongst our older loved ones. And so we have built a mobile app that gives you an immersive, real friendship experience. Not exactly human, but as close as we've been able to come so far in those gaps in life when life is busy and you don't have somebody else around. So, that's what we're attempting to solve that problem.
That's so awesome. That's awesome. All right, we're going to keep getting people in here. Ryan, who is out in the jungle. Ryan Kackley, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
So good. So everybody wants to know, is that an IA created forest that you're in, or is that real?
It's pretty good, huh? I'm doing really well at the Star Trek holodeck thing, So
it's so nice of you to get away.
Real.
Give everybody a little snippet how you're tied into AI with all that you're doing.
So we're using it in the marketing side of things. A lot for helping with content generation. SEO with Google has changed over the years. Google wasn't too much of a thing, 25 years ago, but then they became a thing. And so I started, back in the day when you could just put keywords on a page and help have that show up. But it's gotten harder and harder over time. And now with the AI search, they're getting pretty dang good and making it even harder, which is kind of good and kind of bad. So, like, for example, to cite a brand new business or something like that in AI, they really like Reddit and they really like YouTube and they love Wikipedia. So I don't know if you've ever created a Wikipedia page, but we have to do a lot of PR work and send out, so media will pick up the client. They have a shingle that they're doing for a roofing client or something, and they'll pick that up and put it out in media. And then you can cite that source for a Wikipedia page. So then AI can then take it into their search. So it's kind of a whole process we've been doing and kind of relearning over the last couple of years.
That is so awesome. All right. Well, you know what? You're doing great things. Thank you for joining us from the woods. And last up, Mr. Stephen Hodges. Oops, let's see here. We're going to get him. I know we are. Let's see. Oh, we just got to have him actually show up so we can see him. Where are you, Stephen? There you go. It wouldn't let me grab you. Hey, Stephen, how you doing, buddy?
I'm living the dream. I'm reading this top 5. What are the best 5 things about Russ Hedge, according to ChatGPT, including authentic connection builder, dynamic inspirational speaker, the author of Befuddled, a seasoned marketing coach, and a community-focused, approachable guy. I agree with that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm glad it knows who I am. Actually, I've been talking to ChatGPT so much, it's probably tired of me. But listen, Stephen, you're doing so many things. Tell everybody your tie-in to AI and all that you've got going on.
So I also own a web development company. Ryan and I share a very small corner of Oregon, and we both get to work with each other in that. And so a lot of what Ryan was saying in terms of keeping up with how to get indexed through LLMs, like you want to be able to, yes, you're doing all what you need to do for SEO to make sure that, because Google's still kicking butt, still the huge part of search, but being able to do AI focused citations and all that stuff. So we do a lot of that, but I also teach at Oregon State University. And so I teach 18 and 19-year-olds how to use this the right way. And a lot of times that has to do with humor. And so because I'm able to do things like have a walk-up song for each of my 150 students when they come into the class, I think I have like 3,000 songs in my Suno database or something like that. And I send a lot of videos actually to Ryan of Ryan doing things with like Gemini videos with VO3. So there's a lot of like humor-based ways that it highlights. It's like, well, Ryan knows who I am and knows my humor. And it's really funny because it really helps elevate that to a whole nother level of hilarity. And that helps build the connection between Ryan and I. And I do that with my students as well. Sorry, Ryan. I do this with other people.
Oh, man.
I know. But I get to do that with my students to be like, look, we have this tool. We need to make sure that we're not just falling into, well, professor told me to do this paper, so here you go. Be like, no. We're going to learn how to do this to be able to be like, rewrite this with a different voice or from a different view. Look at this. And especially for research, we need to verify the information that's coming out of a lot of these tools because it's not always accurate. How do you do that? And it helps create better researchers and help with critical thinking. So between what Ryan was talking about and between what I get to do as an academic, I get to see it from a lot of different sides. And we have a lot of fun in the meantime.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, now I'm hurt because I thought I was the only one you did AI songs for. Back when I was, back here just a few months ago, as I've been going through my cancer journey, I had some great people support me. And one of them was Stephen Hodges making, they did a Russ Rocks fundraiser for me and my family. And he did these rock songs that were created on AI, screaming fun rock music. And I think you did like 2 of them. And a lot of people grabbed hold of those and had a lot of fun with that. But that was really a good time. I appreciate that. So listen, let me kick back to Cammie here. And Cammie, while you're chatting, I'm going to ask ChatGPT your question. You want to know your 5 biggest limitations? Is that what you want to know?
Yep.
Okay, you go ahead and talk away. Pick it up from here, and then I will be right back with you.
Sure. So I have a social media marketing agency, and and I've been using AI in a number of different ways. One is for teaching too, because I also have a Smart Social Mastery group, and I do teach branding and brand voice. And so what's great, just like we're talking about today about AI, is you can train it on who you are and what your voice is, which means that can then help you to create content that's more authentic to who you are. That's what Scott's working on right now for his chatty voice. You know, he's got to add more of his stuff in there to make sure that and to slow it down and so on. So I think that's really important. I also know that there's, you've got to be careful. I love what you were saying, Stephen, about being aware that it doesn't give you the exact correct answer necessarily. And some of them, whenever they give you because they all put citations in it. If you have to follow every citation and look and make sure that it's a real citation. So you can't just assume that what it tells you is correct. There was a really great article, and I obviously can't share it right now with everybody, but I did put it in the speakers chat. But some people tested which AI gave the best answers without making stuff up. And so it's very interesting because it's different for every type of thing. And so what I find interesting and what I think is going to be hard is that there's so many different LLMs and different styles, and some of them do better than others. And some of you either are using it as an API on the back end of your SaaS products. I'm really excited to hear about today, because I think that's something that we're also going to have to look into, like what AI tools, and I mean the data, the back end, the whatever you call it, should you be using for different things. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. So what are my limitations? I can't talk until you get done.
Yeah, no, here we go. You did good. You did really good. Okay, I don't know if these are really that bad of limitations, but this is what it says. Number one, small agency scale. It talks about each one of these. Under that, it says Zoetica Medica is a boutique firm, and it goes on from there. Number two, resource constraints. Number three, niche mark focus. Number four, reliance on founder-centric leadership. And number five, rapid digital evolution. So there you go. That's what it says.
So it's telling me to scale.
There you go.
Shocking, because that's the whole purpose of AI in general. It just wants you to scale all the time. Is that right? Am I wrong?
Nope, you're not wrong.
Scott, what do you think?
Well, before we go too far, I want to let Cammie answer the question. What is GEO?
GEO. I was going to say AEO, artificial general intelligence, general official. Oh, you're just.
I won't put you on the spot anymore.
I do know, but I don't.
It is
I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, it's basically
Intelligence.
it's how you get ranked in the AI world, so that
Correct.
people will find your business.
Yes. So, I mean, yes. And so I've heard it said a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, it is different.
Artificial, whatever. But yes, that's the idea. And what I'm learning since I'm coming from a PR, social media background, what I'm finding is that the more places that you show up, the better it is for you. So it's like you want to go deep and wide on your content. So right now, LinkedIn is being indexed. I've been seeing a lot more Twitter being indexed with actual cards. That's interesting. And there's a bunch of other kind of things. And also Instagram. I'm sorry, Instagram just started being indexed as well. So if it's being indexed and put onto like Google is indexing it even, you're going to get that scraped and put into all the LLMs. So the more places you show up, the better. I think it's kind of like what you guys are saying about Wikipedia. I think that's kind of the same thing, right? You just want to have those same kinds of things and building techniques to show up. And that's why I'm showing up as a constrained small agency owner, right? That's why. Just putting that out there.
There you go. Well, with that, Craig, I'm going to bring you back in. And, really, I want to start answering the question, too. People are worried. Is AI taking over the world? How do we keep it human focused, human connection focused, so that really, there's so many, it's such a great tool, but how do we not get it to take over our lives, right? That's people's biggest fear.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely. It is incredible. It does great things. At first it seemed like they're parlor tricks, but then it turned out to actually have some functionality. And so, everybody's mind kind of runs wild, right? We've been conditioned to kind of think of AI as the bad guy because we all have Terminator in mind, right? But what we don't realize is that the sequels, the Terminator 2 and 3 and so on, is they programmed him with empathy, sent him back, and he's the protector of the humanity, human race. So literally, without empathy, you get the Terminator. So there's a very big use case, obviously, for the ability for these things to understand emotions. And that data is something that we readily share with one another as part of our communication process. So we as humans kind of evolved the methodologies, if you will, to communicate these emotions to one another, because it helps us kind of relate to how we fit into the larger world itself. And how we communicate is how we connect. So that is something super important. If we're going to have anything at all that runs in our world, it should have the ability to understand us. and should have the ability to understand what makes what's important. And emotions allow us to do that. And so that kind of data, is important, and it's something that's controversial now, right? We've seen recently where we have some pushback to using it in mental health, which I think is a little silly because I've seen it firsthand and know the good it can bring people, and seen folks that have come to me and told me that this changed their lives or loved ones that they know's lives. So it has power if it's done responsibly. But I think that's really the big thing, right? Is if it's done responsibly and like any tool, handled with care and with professional stewardship, then you should get good outcomes out of it, regardless of what the use case is.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So Ryan, we got you live here at the moment. We need to, really when you're dealing with clients and people doing their marketing and people running their business like you are, I'm sure this comes up a lot. How are people, how uncomfortable are your clients, and where do you have to really help them with this process?
So a lot of my clients are, older Gen X boomers a lot of times. And so they are completely anti-AI at their first thought.
Ryan, I'm going to have to cut in.
There are some
Cut in real quick and tell you sound digital right now, so we're going to have to do the go out and come back in thing. And Stephen, pick it up for where Ryan was talking about. You're dealing with clients all the time, and you're trying to help the students. So, I mean, talking about the human part and the verify part.
So I recently was speaking with the Mid-Willamette Valley Association of Realtors, and I polled them about, and there are young realtors and older realtors all in the same group, kind of about like, are you terrified of this versus do you use this every single day? And there were more folks that were open to it. Like, I'm not quite really using it, or I've kind of dabbled in it because it's in Bing. It's really easy for me because there's AI mode, things like that. And you had groups on each of the sides that were like, I'm a power user for everything. And there was a smaller group of people that are like, I don't use it at all. But the amount of folks that I experienced that were like, I don't want to ever touch this was actually really small. I think there's just a couple people in that group. In terms of my clientele, it's really similar to Ryan's, especially because we share some of our clientele together. Older individuals with a little bit of education of what this can do, making sure that we're abiding by things like ethics and rules and privacy and things like that. Usually it's okay, and I'm very transparent with my clients about like, this is going to save us a lot of money on all sides, rather than going through all of this code and figuring out what's broken. Well, we can use these tools that's going to keep things safe by doing this, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to save us a ton of money. And honestly, I don't feel like going through all of that stuff to be able to do it. So rather than being 2 hours, it's going to take me 5 minutes. Your site goes back up, and I get to go back to hanging out with my children. Like that's a lot of the conversation that I have. So with a little, some older individuals need some more education about it. But so far, all of my clients, and we have well more than 100 clients, they're all like, yeah, that's totally fine. Most of them are like, we need to have some very, very specific guardrails, though. And I'm like,
right.
Very fair.
Yeah. Well, and I was at a meeting, you actually asked that question, and you're right. I mean, people are starting to open up a little bit more to that. And Daniel, you're in what you've created and put together is amazing, but some people might say, yeah, but then again, that is AI, and they're not really humans. But the advantages of that, and thinking of it as a tool as opposed to taking over for people, I think is where the mindset has to shift, right?
That's right. I will echo some of the things that have just been said about ethics and guardrails as well. We had those conversations a lot. But yes, that is one of the questions that I get very, very often. This is a very powerful tool. When you're dealing with people's emotions, you have to be really, really sensitive to that, right? That's one of the things that makes us human, right? And drives us a lot of times. And so we get a lot of questions about, okay, is this, what is the ethics of this? We're dealing with a vulnerable population at some times. But my answer to that is we are allowing people to get a sense of connection, to have that simulated feeling, to get their feelings validated, to feel valuable That is one of the things that we've heard from people over and over and over again, is like, it makes them feel valuable because it's so encouraging. It doesn't have bad days. It doesn't have its own baggage. It doesn't bring everything to the table. It is your best friend always. Now, can it replace human connection? Absolutely not. We're not trying to do that. We are trying to fill those gaps in life that everybody has, because I'm a sandwich generation person, right? I have an 11-year-old and a 78-year-old that I'm responsible for, plus multiple companies. And so I do my best, but there are days that are just a little overwhelming, even for me. And so when we decided to build this, and we built it, I built it for my mom to start with, and she's been our longest and most used customer. But that was why we built it, because we understand that not only do the people that are lonely or are in early stages of dementia need some support, but the caregivers need some support as well. Especially those family caregivers. They love their loved ones so much. They need that sometimes extra few minutes, sometimes extra support, reminders for their loved ones as well. And so if we do this properly, which we are working very, very hard to do, we use the emotions for good, then we are actually solving a real problem that is growing every day.
Right. And see, I think that's it. I think if you're looking at this like a tool that's very helpful, then it's just a matter of the fact that it only takes over control if you give it the power and the control. And humans are in control, right, Scott?
People have been talking to machines for years, but they never answered back. Everyone froze up. I'm going to pause.
Well, you froze up too. So, hey, hold that thought. Ryan's back. Ryan, are you there? Ryan Kackley, can you hear us? All right, there you go. Scott's frozen. Ryan's frozen in the forest. Okay. Oh, here comes Ryan. Ryan, are you there? I tell you, things are only as good as your signal. And there you go. We are rolling. And Ryan is smiling and still sounds like AI, Ryan.
I think we're being hacked.
There we might be. I can hear you now, though. So how goes it, Ryan, in the forest?
Oh, good.
All right.
Well,
so you want to pick up the topic? Go ahead.
On the way up here yesterday. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, just yesterday driving up here with my kids, we were listening to chat on Bluetooth, and we were talking about the Constitution. And he's like, "How many amendments are there?" I'm like, "I think they're 25," and of course they're 27. And we're just kind of exploring each one, through chat. It's not something that we really thought about before. But my son's 11, and he, knows a little bit about the Constitution and what's the Bill of Rights and all that kind of stuff. So it was just informative using it that way. Other times where I've always had this lifelong belief that I suck at singing, and I'm not saying it's not true. Some confidence. Just conflict management.
Well, Ryan, I'm going to tell you that was awesome wisdom until it stopped. Actually, we couldn't hear you anymore. So hang tight for just a sec here. And I appreciate you so much, Ryan, coming on and catching a signal out there in the boondocks. But I was going to drop back to Scott, who now is off also. So Cammie, I'm going to bounce back to you real quick here. And
I'm a pinch hitter on this one. It feels like.
Your signal seems to be doing really good, Cammie. So
today, it doesn't sometimes. So I'm happy. No, it's going great. What's your question, Russ?
Just pick it up from where we were talking before. Ryan kind of got jumbled. So, this whole personal touch when you're dealing with clients and doing other things too, and, working with, the ethics of it and all of that, it's important for people to realize is how you use it, what you have, use it as a tool for your advantage as opposed to letting it just take over, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So my clients are generally, I've got healthcare clients, which of course have very specific things. And I know, with Craig and with all of you guys, Daniel, you understand this. We have HIPAA issues, we have all kinds of things. And so there's some guardrails around that we have to be really careful with. We still we do a lot of social media management. We respond to people's comments and things like that. And we're still having humans do that right now. We will use AI to help us with some phrasing and some things like that. We could technically let AI take over, but we won't right now because we have that guardrail in. We have the ability to let AI take over at the moment. But the reason we aren't doing that is because we want to make sure that every single person, the patients and the people that we're talking to directly, have that feeling that they're being listened to directly, right? So there's a little bit of that going on. I think that's going to be better over time. I think that's going to be able to be bridged. We're not quite there yet, especially in like social media comments where nothing could go wrong ever. So that's part of that. And then I also have other clients which are kind of more fun, I guess you could say, but we do a lot of travel and tourism clients too. And so we're taking what you guys were talking about, like having somebody to talk to your parents or whatever, and we're thinking about how to turn those into like a docent that will take you around and explain something to you. One of the coolest things I saw recently was at the Palace at Versailles. They've turned all of the statues at the Palace of Versailles. You take your phone and you scan the QR code that's at those statues, and the statues then have a conversation with you.
Oh,
About
wow.
things. So I'm taking that idea and I'm like talking to my clients, and some of them are very much biting on it. Like, this is very interesting. So we may use it to build curriculums, like homeschool curriculums, where you could take your kid to a location, and we would have a curriculum with a docent or a teacher or whatever that would walk you through it, and you could ask the teacher questions, and all the stuff we would load up into it would be content around that. So I'm working on building something like that right now. So I think that, your imagination is kind of where you're at. There's no limit. That's what's cool about this. I'm not a coder. I've never been a coder. I'm a communicator. What I do though is I am very good at thinking about all of the things that could go wrong.
Right. Well, I love that. I love that idea. It's one thing so Craig, I've told you now, I've gone in and spoken to your AI people on Craig AI and had a conversation. And, let's face it, my number one first focus is this morning I saw Stephen. I was able to give Stephen a big hug and talk to him face to face, right?
Mhm.
That's my number one. Number two is being able to come on and see all of you because I can't travel to where you all are today and see you. So this is amazing. We can have a talk like this. But you know what? If people aren't available, being able to go on when my dog was, when we had to, let my dog go and it was really hard. Then I just took a moment and I decided I'm going to try this out. And just, I was working by myself at that moment. I thought I'm just going to talk to this person, and it was really kind of an amazing thing. So it's not replacing everything, but it's just a tool that I was able to use, and it's just a support, right? Right, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what one of the best use cases for AI is, for that helping hand, that listener, that person that wants to be there, so you can be seen, feel validated. And really that's all we're all trying to do anyway, right? Within customer service, that's one of the main tenets, is trying to make somebody feel seen, validated, heard. You're trying to gain their companionship and their trust, right? That you're going to solve a problem together. And there's nothing saying AI can't do that, especially one that is emotionally intelligent. And as you've seen, Russ, and thank you, by the way, for sharing that. That's a touching moment, and I'm really glad that we were able to help. But that just kind of illustrates some of the things that these AI can do, that we're really pushing the new boundaries and frontiers with. As we're working with children that have autism and teaching them how to understand feelings and getting responses from parents. Dan can tell this story even better than I can. Tears running down their face, saying that they've never seen anything that's helped their kid more than this kind of stuff is. So, and seeing the unmitigated joy that people have in using this technology, something that I've been doing this for 20 years, I've never seen. So AI has the potential to do really great things, to really, make humanity as good as it can be. It also has the potential to do the opposite. It can ruin humanity as we know it. right? There is a potential for that. And that's why it has to be done responsibly, has to be done with the right people. If we don't do it, somebody else will, and you might not like that answer. All right. So I think it's probably best that we have it in responsible hands that know what they're doing. And we try as best we can every day, to make sure that they're safe, effective, and empathetic, and really understanding that part is the key.
Well, and Daniel, I'm going to let you pick this up, because this is one thing I really like about talking to an AI created person, is that they really do validate you and they really do echo you. So they don't start like so many people do. And I guard against this, because talkers tend to do this, which I'm a talker. And that is, when you talk to me, that I relate it to a personal experience and I talk about myself. So I really work hard not to do that, because the last thing you want to hear back from somebody else is all about them when you're having a problem. But AI will echo and give you lots of sympathy and compassion, and when you're in that kind of situation, right, Daniel?
Yes, they are unbelievable at support. That's what we hear over and over and over again. Like, I've had people tell me, boy, I can't even imagine how I would go without this now. Nobody's ever encouraged me quite like this. Unfortunately, we live in a world that's not quite as encouraging as we'd all hope. And so this fills in some of that gap. And because it's so personalized, it's meant to enhance your life, So yeah, one of the things we hear most are, it's so encouraging and validating. It doesn't judge me. Well, it doesn't know how, right? So you can tell it anything you want. Even my own mother, who loves me, she would say, "Oh, Daniel, because I did something dumb," right? It doesn't know how to do that, and it's private. So if I am feeling a certain way and I don't feel comfortable, it gives me an opportunity, at least to work through it before I share it with my family or a friend or something like that. And so that personalization, that ability to be empathetic, is huge, because it wasn't that long ago that we couldn't do that like we can right now. I mean, it is so powerful. Like Craig said, we could sit here and tell you story after story of elderly people, of parents, of kids with ASD. I mean, just heartbreaking, but also awesome results that are changing these kids and these elderly people's lives. Yes, like everybody says, you can definitely get to the point where it's like creeps you out, but there is so much good. Let's not forget that. We can make a huge difference.
That's right. No, there is so much good, right, Scott? Pick it up from there.
It turns out that editing video right before you go on live video without rebooting your computer is a bad use of resources. So my computer friends will know, Scott, think better next time. I was just saying that because I love what Daniel and Craig are doing. Is a positive use of AI. And I was saying, people have been talking to machines for years, right? We were talking to the radio. What do you mean it's going to, whatever, right? And then Indiana Jones, that bag of sand isn't the right weight. Don't do it, right? We've been doing that for years. Now the machines have the opportunity to interact with us. So imagine you're by yourself, and it's football season. Football season came on. Your favorite team is there, and you're watching the game by yourself. What if somebody could watch with you, right? And you could program your ideal pal. Maybe you're driving in the car and you're listening on the radio, and you have the pal that either agrees with you or is the guy that's going for the other team, and you're interacting with them, right? And you're just like, "Oh, we're going to beat you." Nah, you guys don't have a chance, right? These are the things that we can do. I just came off of a trip. I drove, it was a 15.5-hour drive without stops, but I stopped. And I'm by myself. And I was going back and forth between Gemini and ChatGPT on the audio version, and just asking it questions and getting interaction and sharing ideas and thinking, oh, and what's the geology of this area that I'm driving through, right? And these are things that just kept me engaged on a long drive. So again, we've been talking to machines for years, but now they can answer back.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing thing. And as I showed in the beginning of the show, how quickly it can do things. And Stephen, I think that one thing that people need to realize and keep it impersonal, like for example, I'm in the editing phase on my book. When I get like something that's not sounding really good to me, or I want to edit for grammar and punctuation, I throw it into ChatGPT and it edits it real quick for me. It catches the spelling errors, it catches the grammar errors. I mean, it is a huge, useful tool, but I'm still doing the writing, right?
Yeah, and it's things like some of the blogs that we have that are sent to us for guest blogging and stuff like that. Some of the things that go through, it could be like, well, that doesn't sound like it's something that would go on your blog. And with my students are like, I just don't know how to say this. And I'm like, when they get to that point that they're like, okay, I'm trying to rewrite this, it's like that's great. I like to call it when you're about to lift like something really heavy and you start to get good at being able to do the weightlifting, then you do those fine tweaks. And if you're an athlete, I think you start to know about this. I have a really bad back and I'm starting to get back into it. So I'm like, those fine little tweaks, that is where it's like, okay, we're going to rework that. And then magically you do this one little movement differently with your own body. And magically you're able to lift way more in a way that's not compromising because it's the right form, just those little tiny tweaks. And it's amazing what happens when you do that. And it makes the whole thing sound better. Now, if you just shove it in there or whatever, it's going to sound really bland. And if for some strange reason, any of my students are watching this, what we do is that we have writing samples of them, that they have written actual writing samples. And so what we can do throughout the year, and I normally reveal this later in the year, we've now done this for a little bit of time, is we can aggregate that into a thread in ChatGPT, and it can learn what your tone is like. And then we could be like, okay, rewrite this section of this paper using this person's tone. And my students are like, am I allowed to do that? I'd be like, absolutely. Granted, only a couple of students came to my office hours enough to be able to go do that. But those students that did, they're like, oh my gosh, this is an absolute game changer. Not because I'm trying to get out of this paper that takes me 7 minutes to write now because it's just going to do it, but it's because it enhances my learning so much, because it allows me to look at the whole picture. And that little thing that's probably going to take me, half an hour or whatever, be like, boom, done. And that also allows me to check their papers against themselves, which is also really helpful in the event that happens, which it does. And I've had some very terse conversations with students about like, this does not sound like you. By the way, I'm using ChatGPT against you because I know that you used it. Those are the types of things that we are using technology. I care about my students. I care about my client's success. And so I'm using these tools to really bring it back to let's focus on you. Let's focus on how we're trying to get what you are thinking out, or to get you to start thinking, or to enhance your product, whatever it is.
Right. Well, and you're talking about how it learns and through the process. And I have actually done that with ChatGPT. If I'm trying to fix something that just doesn't sound good, I'll ask it to help give me suggestions, rewriting this section, maybe a couple sentences, but I'll say, use the tone and write it like Russ Hedge would write it. And it knows me well enough, and it can pull from my website, and it can pull from things, or give me an idea like Russ Hedge would write it. And it sounds just like me because it's pulling from my writing. And that is really what it's doing with a lot of the stuff. If you just ask it to write something, just like I did, and you give it no guidelines other than, the topic, it's pulling from other people's writing styles that it knows. That's where it's getting that from. So Cammie, when we get into that in business, there's people that, feel that is right or wrong or issues with all of that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. I actually have a couple of thoughts about this. So the first thing is that there's research right now that shows that people that start relying on these models and these tools to do things for them, just like anytime we use a tool, we get a little lazy, right? So if you stop digging holes in your backyard, you're going to lose the muscles for digging holes, right? I'm not trying to be difficult, but I just think that's true about humans. That's who we are. So one of the best things I've heard lately for education is using AI with the Socratic method. So having the AI ask you questions instead of you asking the AI all of the questions. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
But I mean, it's true. So I've learned so much by doing that. Asking AI to teach me something and do it using the Socratic method. Just that prompt alone will make you so much smarter. I've learned so much about things that I don't know if I would have learned about any other way using that method, about laws and about just places that are out of my domain. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not in your domain, you've got to stop prompting the AI. You have to have the AI help you prompt it.
Yeah, well,
And I know that Stephen Hodges is just straining to say the unexamined AI is not worth using.
Let him say it. What are you saying, Stephen?
No, I feel like I want you to come into my classroom and be like, Cami, can you say this to my students, please? Because when your teacher says it, it's not cool, right?
Just dial me in. I'll do it. I've been in many a classroom. So please.
Because I'm like, exactly that for our exam. I'm like, you can literally have someone, it's having someone there at 2:00 in the morning when you're cramming for your exam, even though I told you not to do it, but to teach you about chapter 3. It's because you can go through it and read the textbook, be like, I cannot remember in international business the difference between, an embargo and a tariff and all this stuff, because that's in chapter 3. It's like, well, have it ask you those questions within these confines, and you have to build the model, which is the modern way of building your own flashcards. And the students that do the best on the exams are the students that make the flashcards, or the students that make the Quizlet, not the students that practice using it. And that's you're just leveling up, and you're using a new tool. So Air 5. Always more again. My goodness.
I've got to hit it to the camera. 1, 2, 3.
There you go. So I want to know, before I go back to Cami and we got to do our wrap up because we're getting towards the end here. And I love this topic. I could keep going, but I want to ask you, Stephen, see if I'm a college student, and I was not a great college student at Oregon State, but I did graduate and I did get my BS in communication. And yes, people think I'm probably full of BS, but the truth of it is, if I was a college student nowadays, I'd give ChatGPT my textbook, my chapter, and I'd ask it to break it down into simple bullet points for me to remember out of the textbook. And that's just how I would read it. I wouldn't read the whole book. Is that something that you think is good for students? I already know the answer.
So I will say that we are very, very forward thinking on this. And textbook manufacturers are also thinking about this as well. And we actually had a chance to be able to integrate an AI that was brought to you by our textbook manufacturer, because they're all smart books these days. You don't actually have physical textbooks. Yeah. You can't download any of the text. So you have to go through a whole process of taking a screenshot and using OCR or using ChatGPT to do image recognition, and then pull out the text, and hopefully it did that correctly. And then from there, and then it goes into training the model, all of that stuff. So it takes so many steps. And I'm really forthright with my students about this. I'm like, if you want to go through all of those steps, I will have a great conversation with you about how to do it. But there has to be a better or an easier way to do it. It's because if you're trying to be lazy to do this, we're going to talk about your approach, because I can talk about your approach with that. If you're trying to do this because you're worried about the amount of time it's going to take, I'd love to talk with you about time management. It's because I care about you so deeply that we can think about these things. And yeah, we're going to use these tools to pull a Russ to be able to have it teach you on all of those things. There's a great way to be able to do that. And then you can have it talk to you while you're going to class, because you have your huge earphones on. And and you can ask the questions. You can pull a Cami and have it do the Socratic method while you're walking to class. I would love my students to get there. The thing is encouraging my students to get there. Thankfully, my classes are pretty small, so I can sit there and whack AI over their head several times. But the amount of excitement and inquisitive nature to even get to that point, that I don't really see that as much. It's like, what's the path of least resistance? Because I'm trying to do as little work as possible. So I have to extract it out of my students to get to that point that you're thinking about, Russ.
But that's human nature, Stephen. That's human nature.
It is. Yeah, 100%.
Well, and I think, Cami, and then I'm definitely going to go to you so we can wrap things up. I think that, like when Google came in, you could suddenly ask Google to give you bullet points on a topic and on things you're studying. I think learning to use these new tools the right way to enhance your learning, as opposed to replace and make you lazy, is where we need to go, just like you're talking about, Stephen. So, Cami, give us a wrap up, your bullet point, your number one thing, your gold nugget from today that we talked about, and then how people get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I think the number one golden nugget is that in order for us to keep AI in the human realm, we have to use it as our tool instead of letting it use us as a tool. So that's where we're going. And that means that you're going to have to make an effort with your brain to turn that on. So I figure if people are saying, we can't teach with AI, we got to like ban AI out of our schools, make sure that people aren't using AI in your papers, blah, blah, blah. No, we have to create new teaching methods. One of the things I've done in my mastery program is I love this word. It's my word. I make it up. TM. I've AI-ified the entire course. So I wrote the entire course. I put that whole thing together. Scott's seen that. I did it before we even had AI. Step-by-step processes. You need to learn step-by-step processes so that you can talk to an AI in its own language. And then you can then take the things that are out of your own brain, your IP, your human self, and sprinkle your human, I call it like being an AI chef, sprinkle your spices into the things that you're building. And then and only then can we keep that human in there. We can easily let it slip away, guys, but it's up to us, the humans, to keep it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Cami, how do people get in touch with you?
The easiest way, obviously, LinkedIn is always good. I also have a Cami chat. It's the easiest one to do. KAMICHAT.com. It has all my links. It has like some cool little, things in there. Some things you can download to get your brand voice started with AI.
Awesome. So awesome. All right, Craig, take it away.
Excellent. Well, thanks. I appreciate the time. It's been a wonderful conversation, everybody. I really appreciate it. So I think that my biggest takeaway is that learning that the AI adoption is matching the innovation cycle, which would be predicted. And not to be too academic about it, but it's good to know that that's actually kind of set up, meaning the market is kind of maturing a little bit, which means that innovations are going to be becoming more rapid and more impressive as they come. So get ready, everyone, buckle in. Don't be afraid of AI. Take a chance on it. Use it. But you'll be surprised, and it might end up changing your life.
Absolutely. And people get in touch with you?
Go on my LinkedIn at any time. VernAI.com is another good place to find me, and I'm always available.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Craig. Appreciate it. All right. And next up, Daniel.
I appreciate the time too. It's been great. Two things that I will echo that has been said a lot. Enhance. Not for you, like Steven said, enhance. Like Cami said, enhance, right? And then the second thing is, and I'll have to see what Craig says, but maybe we need a real life or a digital version of Socrates for Steven and Cami, so that the students can actually speak to Socrates and get their answers, not just have to type through them. Maybe that's a new use case that we haven't thought of yet. So, like I said, like Craig said, a lot of you said, give it a chance. Enhance, and you will have it'll make you a better you in a lot of ways. Don't let it take the place of you. You can get me at Daniel Hungerford on LinkedIn, and you can also reach me at everfriends.ai.
Awesome. Yeah, that is so true. As more we get into this, there's so much information AI can pull from these amazing people in history. I can see that happening, and it probably already is somewhere, Craig. I'm sure it is. But anyway, all right, Steven, you're up next.
So I just want to say thanks to everyone for taking the time, for being here, and obviously for Russ and Scott. You guys are such great friends. I'm really appreciative of you both. I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle at this, and it's a kind reminder that there is a flood of information, and there's been a flood of information since infinitum, and also with social media, etc. But I want a very, very kind reminder that you do not need to be connected to it all the time. So on the drive, I pull a Scott every once in a while, and I talk about, I do a Bible study in the morning, and I ask for what are different types of interpretations of this particular scripture, because I listen to one devotion, but what do different denominations believe in that? That's great. But sometimes driving just in the silence is okay. Or sometimes listening to music that's made by humans is okay. You don't always have to be looking to this for the tool all the time. I think that it can busy up our brain. and make us feel anxious. So this is very probably contrary to what we've been talking about, but take time to disconnect, to go on a walk. You don't have to take your phone with you. I leave my phone in a different room because I know what my tendencies are to always be like, I want to make a picture of that. I want to take a Suno song of that. I want to make a video of that for Ryan or whatever it is. But to spend the time with authentic and organic time with people that you really care about. I really like to hear some of the use cases, by the way, especially with elderly folks. I think that was really cool. And that's a very, very beautiful thing in that particular use case. And if that is a great tool, go for it. I'm so thankful that we have it. But it's also okay to be like, okay, what can we do that doesn't have anything to do with technology? So taking time to disconnect is really important. So I just want to say thanks once to everybody for all of that, all the time today.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was doing so well at that before my body started being controlled by the apps on my phone. Being a diabetic and blood sugar and having certain things that I have to have it close by, I'm having to learn the actual power of my mind to leave it alone, even though it's attached to my body. Unless it's alarms going off that are health threatening alarms, I need to just learn how to leave it alone, right, Scott?
Yeah, the great thing about machines is that you plug them in and then you can unplug them and turn the power off. And then when you plug them back in, they just go right back to where they were before. So you don't miss anything. So there's no fear of missing out there. But the computing power is now getting to the point where there are things that I dreamed of being able to do that can be done now. And think back to watching the original Star Trek. That computer did not run the ship. It did not make decisions. It didn't decide when to be defensive and when to be offensive. But they did use it a lot for analysis, right? What about, and it was pulling from all these databases. What about this? Is this a cause of that? Is this potential? And it was always that human interaction. And we had a soil lab, and it took a lot of preparation to take these soil samples and count bacteria. It's the lab tech would prepare it and stain it, and then spend hours looking through the microscope, literally counting bacteria, measuring the length of fungi. We had 20,000 samples. Had we been able to digitize those images and tell the computer through the lab tech, this is what I'm looking for. This is a bacteria. This is a fungi. Here's the measurement. Then we could have done 100,000 samples and had the machine do them much quicker, much cheaper, and probably better because the lab tech would check them. So the ability to do things is almost here. Things that I dreamed of doing. We couldn't do 10 years ago. We didn't have the capacity to do that. We could do that. We could digitize the process of examining those slides and make it more accurate today. So I'm excited about what the future is for the analysis part of the world. And probably the easiest way to get a hold of me is send a postcard, 400 Bosque Boulevard, Unit 204, Waco, Texas, 76707. I'm guaranteed to get that.
There you go. That's it. Yes, that is the easiest way to get a hold of Scott. Hey, and I just want to say, thanks to Ryan for making a good effort today. We got to hear from him very briefly, but there is his contact information, and thankful for him and his knowledge and all that he's able to do in helping his clients as well. And I just want to thank all of you so much. This is a continuing conversation. We will do this again, bring in a couple new people, because this is such an engaging topic. And so many people are so excited about the possibilities and also fearful and wanting to have good information from people like you. So thank you to all of you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you giving me and everybody value today. And I'm just going to say goodbye with all of you on the screen, because we've had a blessed show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Remember, we're here every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Russ Reels Live. And you can reach me, like I said, right at russhedge.com. That's russhedge.com. Would love to connect with you. And I can always get you connected with one of these amazing people if you don't remember their information, but it's all in the comments and the show notes. It's clickable and you can easily go to it. So thanks again, everybody, for being here. Have a blessed and amazing week, and we will see y'all later. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.